Hello again, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Friday's edition of Alaska Weather, 14th day of August, 2020. I'm Dave Percy, meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. First graphic we have showing the warm, dry, and in some cases windy weekend coming up for south central Alaska and across areas southern Alaska, actually. Windy today, like Copper River Basin, Gulkana, north winds peak gusts 35 miles an hour, and temperatures pushing into the 70s. Well, again, tomorrow, the forecast for Talkeetna today, that's 73. Fell a little short. There's 75 at mid-afternoon already. And you can see the Saturday, Sunday forecast, upper 70s, pushing 80 on Sunday up into the Susitna Valley. And Matanuska Valley probably about the same, as well as areas of the Kenai Peninsula and across East Anchorage. Although mid-70s, the actual forecast for the International Airport area. Palmer about the same, pushing 80 as I mentioned. And out west, Bethel, upper 60s tomorrow to near 70 and lower 70s on Sunday. And King Salmon into the upper 70s on Sunday. And after the mid-70s today, you'll be actually in the upper 70s on Saturday. So much warmer and drier as summer returns across southern Alaska, and not only southern Alaska, much of interior Alaska as well. Tanana Valley, central interior areas will be well into the 70s, just like southern Alaska will be. The only exception will be the Panhandle and extreme eastern interior. Will be clouds and continuing chance of precipitation. And the warm and especially windy conditions has prompted red flag warnings for the Susitna Valley, western Kenai Peninsula, and the Matanuska Valley, Anchorage Bowl, western Kenai Peninsula, middle Kuskokwim Valley, and interior of Bristol Bay. And that's due to mostly the gusty winds, along with the warmer temperatures and drier conditions. Humidity 25 to 35%, not all that low, but low enough for the red flag warnings. Definitely increased fire danger in these areas, and mostly due to the wind, along with the sunshine and warmer, drier temperatures. And that's for the period that kicks in noon Saturday for these areas until 10 p.m. Saturday evening. And from there, we'll take a look at the fire danger map here, and you can see it's gone up. In fact, you can barely see it there, but it's some extreme fire danger there out over the they're just east of Nunivak Island, with high to very high fire dangers over the west or into the Kuskokwim Valley from northeastern Bristol Bay, and areas of high fire danger showing up there on just north of the central Yukon River and also to the south. And from there, looking at satellite imagery, you can see a lot of clear skies breaking out, especially over this northern and eastern Bering Sea. Sunshine, St. George today with pretty nice temperatures. Winds not too strong at all. Also some breaks over the Aleutians, Adak, and possibly Unalaska, although the north side of the islands there pretty socked in with the lower clouds. But Alaska Peninsula looking really good today. Bristol Bay, of course, Kodiak Island into the lower 70s there with light northwest winds and good sunshine over the western interior, Seward Peninsula. Northern Bering got some low clouds and fog on the north side of St. Lawrence Island, but not too much in the way of fog. Savunga reporting north winds 25 miles an hour and just broken 1800 overcast for the skies, for the sky condition. And you can see clouds increase as you head east toward the border, with showers decreasing but continuing over the eastern Copper River Basin, Wrangell Mountains on up into the eastern Tanana Valley, Northway, and Tok, but just a few hundreds falling today, and a weak disturbance keeping some moisture in over the eastern Arctic coast and the Brooks Range area around Arctic Village. The heaviest rainfall with low pressure pushing in toward the central coast, central and south coast, in toward Port Alexander, more or less the low center kind of west of that area this afternoon. And that brought rain to all the Panhandle, with the Rainfall amounts well over an inch in some areas over the southern southeast coast. Like Ketchikan in the last 24 hours had 1.80 inches, while Craig had about a third of an inch, as did Juneau. And Sitka had about half an inch. By contrast, just 1/100th of an inch falling at Yakutat, and then the showers over the eastern interior areas. Chisana had about 4/10 of an inch in the last 12 hours, so still some pretty good showers going on over there, over the Wrangell Mountains up toward the eastern Alaska range. Otherwise, pretty dry around for the remainder of the state, again with good sunshine all the way out to the eastern Aleutians and northward into the western North Slope areas. And then the system out west increasing the wind and rain over the far western Aleutians, with the front farther to the south, and then that low center off the southeast coast tonight. Really doesn't move too much. The front slowly pushes eastward, so rain will continue, moderate, possibly heavy at times, and rain will also continue up to the north, lighter rainfall amounts. Wind's not much of a factor with this. Strongest winds will be Dixon entrance southward, the gradient right across the Queen Charlottes. It'll stay breezy, channeled areas in the North Gulf Coast with nothing too significant for tonight, but you can see the tighter gradient between the low center south of Montague Island and the high center north of St. Paul. Enough to keep the winds going there, maybe gusts 25 to possibly as high as 35 miles an hour. Breezy Alaska Peninsula, but dry, and that front spreads rain eastward to Atka by morning, and the eastern Bering Sea ridging holds through Saturday right over the Pribilofs and the Fox Islands, and stays breezy over the Alaska Peninsula. Could still see gusts of up to 40 miles an hour possibly in the channel areas of the North Gulf Coast, Valdez possibly, and it stays breezy in the Matanuska Valley, but not too terribly windy. It'll stay sunny for Kodiak Island, but highs back into the 70s, a little warmer each day, a little warmer today than tomorrow. Especially in the central and western interior, Copper River Basin, but the clouds and showers kind of holding the temperatures down a little bit there for the eastern interior, upper Yukon Valley areas. And of course, the Panhandle stays wet with that front stalled out, which Sunday it stays continued unsettled, some moisture streaming northward along that trough axis from that low southwest of the Queen Charlotte, so keep it cloudy and damp there. It'll stay unsettled even over the northern Panhandle, but precipitation will be of a more showery nature up to the north, with some scattered showers around Yakutat, become quite isolated along the eastern North Gulf Coast, and probably won't see any over the Copper River Basin, just some variable clouds. But again, sunshine, light winds, highs 75 to 80 south central Alaska, a little cooler along the inlet, of course, and into the mid to possibly upper 70s, Tanana Valley and westward to the Kobuk Valley. A weak trailing edge might keep some showers in the eastern Brooks Range and along the eastern Arctic coast, but whatever falls won't be much at all. And high pressure really kind of breaks down there, but still some ridging along the west coast of the state with light winds, low clouds and fog in areas. Maybe some breaks, another partly mostly sunny day for the Alaska Peninsula, but that front spreading rain in toward False Pass, chances of rain increase in the afternoon, late afternoon, with what looks to be a wet day for the Fox Islands and the Pribilofs, with that front pushing in, and another trough swings and increase in the moisture, and kind of breezy there for the western Aleutians, pushing in toward Adak in the afternoon. Otherwise, high pressure on the Arctic coast will result in light winds, light east or northeast winds, maybe 5 to 10 knots, with some low clouds and fog up in that area. Light winds also for the Gulf of Alaska, but Kodiak Island should remain clear with a low to the north, westerly flow, even Shelikof Strait. So we'll probably see temperatures back into the 60s to mid-70s across Kodiak Island as well. And for lows tonight, lower 50s for Kodiak tonight. Otherwise, some areas of the Alaska Peninsula, Bristol Bay in the mid-50s. Otherwise, 40s, mid to upper for the Bering Sea and the Aleutians, Bering Strait. Upper 30s, not too common on the Arctic coast, mostly in the 40s. For much of interior Alaska, lower 50s for the Panhandle, followed by highs tomorrow for the southeast coast, of course, with the clouds and precipitation, 50s to the lower 60s, and that's about it. And 70s to mid to upper for south central Alaska, mid 70s Tanana Valley, upper Yukon Valley, lower 70s, near 70 for Bethel, 50s along the Arctic coast, and 61 for St. Paul Island forecast. That usually implies sunshine when you get into the 60s there. And that'll be followed by lows near 50. And upper 40s for the interior of the state, lower 50s, lower to mid 50s, south central Alaska now, so a little bit milder, mid 50s Kodiak Island, mid to upper 30s for the Arctic coast, and highs on Sunday, again 75 to 80 south central Alaska. No change for the Panhandle, mid to upper 70s for the central interior, and 40s and 50s for the North Slope and Arctic coast, lower 60s for the Alaska Peninsula.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Moving on to the first flying weather graphic for Saturday morning. IFR, central eastern Beaufort Sea coast and around the Point Leyte Wainwright area, otherwise marginal VFR, mostly across the west coast and a ways inland from the North Slope all the way down across the Kuskokwim Delta to the southwest mountains. But it looks like VFR for northern Bristol Bay, Togiak Bay, Kodiak Island, much of Kenai Peninsula, Cook Inlet, northward in the central eastern interior, some marginal VFR, eastern Alaska range, marginal VFR, southeast coast, a couple of bands of IFR out over the Bering Sea that stretches down to the area between Atka and Nikolsky, just north of the Fox Islands, and another northwest to southeast band across the western central Aleutians. That all consolidates into one solid area out there for Saturday afternoon. And that extends right up into the Bering Strait, probably through the strait, and then just catching Point Hope, Cape Lisbourne, and mostly off the Arctic coast there. Just some marginal VFR, central and western Arctic coast. VFR, North Slope, all of interior Alaska. Some lingering marginal VFR, possible IFR there over the eastern Alaska range, mostly the Wrangell Mountain areas. Panhandle, North Coast, Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, and then down the east side a ways, IFR, and also for the area around Stewart and Hyder, VFR Kodiak Island. Sunday morning, we've got IFR over the southern Panhandle, extending northward across Petersburg, Wrangell, just about up to just maybe east-southeast of Juneau, another zone there on the north coast, including Glacier Bay. Lynn Canal, though, marginal for the eastern North Gulf Coast, Cape Yakataga to Yakutat, Icy Bay, and Latuya Bay, marginal for the eastern Prince William Sound, Montague Island, south of Valdez, so Cordova looks IFR across the coast range, mostly VFR in the interior, so then becoming marginal out toward the coast, IFR off the coast there in the Bering Sea through the strait, including St. Lawrence Island, the Pribilofs, and central western Aleutians. Fox Islands look pretty good, maybe some marginal VFR western Unmak Island. For the afternoon, IFR Bering Sea, but staying well off the coast. Marginal VFR even staying near the coastline or off to the coast there, with some IFR around Cape Newenham, marginal for Nunivak Island, and IFR for the Aleutians, VFR for the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak, north, all the interior again, sunshine, VFR, even almost out to the entire Arctic coast, with the Panhandle improving as well, but lingering IFR toward Dixon Entrance. Passes Anatuvik, Adigan, good VFR day coming up, probably for the next, probably through the weekend. Lake Clark and Merrill, same thing, VFR both Saturday and Sunday, and for rainy VFR through the weekend. Windy VFR tomorrow, north and south entrance, probably Sunday as well. Same forecast for Isabel, looking good. Mentasta, though, marginal VFR tomorrow at times. Could maybe, I think the IFR will be south-southeast of the pass there. Tanita VFR. Portage, VFR, and Chilkoot and White, maybe starting out marginal, becoming IFR in the morning, or it just could be IFR the entire day on both entrances, especially southern entrance. Freezing levels, not much of a gradient, about 8,000 feet over mainland Alaska, 6,000 feet just catching the central Arctic coast, but 8 to 10,000 over the Panhandle. Warmer out west, 12,000 feet over the central Aleutians, 10,000 feet all the way up to the Russian coast. And icing system coming in the western Bering Sea, trailing into the central Aleutians, just isolated moderate, moving into the Adak-Atka area, heavier stuff up to the north there. And some mixed icing over the eastern interior develops into an area of rime icing with the southwest flow, which could be considerably moderate over the southern and northern panhandles. Taking a look at the 18,000-foot wind flow chart with the 30,000-foot wind speed max. Speed max is on there. Low in the eastern Gulf, so we got southerly flow right into the panhandle up to 95 knots. On the other side, northerly flow, making for warm, dry conditions across the interior and south central Alaska. 60 to 75 knots and 9,000 feet high pressure shifting into the eastern Bering Sea. Good southerlies behind that ahead of the next system there. 55 knots central Aleutians, northerlies 35 knots Bristol Bay to Kodiak Island. And a little gusty there for the panhandle, but the strongest winds east of the southeast coast there, cutting in across the Queen Charlottes. Northerlies 35 knots Shelikof Strait. Turbulence, look for considerable moderate below 5,000 feet, southern Cook Inlet, Kodiak Island, western central Aleutians along the Alaska Peninsula as well. After the break, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
Welcome back to another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm Dave Snider, and joining me again is Cindy Preller. She's the Tsunami Program Manager for Alaska Region's National Weather Service. Thanks again for joining us, Cindy.
Thanks for having me back, Dave.
Sure thing. And I love saying Tsunami Program Manager for Alaska's National Weather Service because that's not weather. Why is the Tsunami Program part of the National Weather Service?
Well, it's because the Weather Service absolutely rocks at warning people for every kind of, devastating natural hazard.
Mm-hmm. The mission of the Weather Service is to protect life and property. And so how does the Tsunami Warning Center in Palmer, Alaska, which is a very unique office, again, within the Weather Service, it's not weather, how do those folks help us protect life and property?
The National Tsunami Warning Center in Palmer is a national warning center, and we analyze seismic traces 24/7 all around the world. So when there's an earthquake anywhere on the planet, we see it and analyze it within minutes.
Within minutes, and
Within
there's
minutes.
actually a goal to have it under, was it 5 minutes?
If there is a tsunami warning to be issued for continental America, we must get that out, or shoot to get that out in 5 minutes.
Okay. Now that's not something I have ever learned to do, so I know it would be a struggle for me to do that under probably hours. But it is fascinating to watch, and the office is open on a regular basis for tours, right?
Absolutely. Come by Friday.
Okay.
Yep, every Friday at 1, 2, and 3 p.m. They're open public free tours. And it's the most interesting place on the planet. You really should check it out.
Okay, and the office team is made up of people that are earth scientists, not meteorologists or atmospheric scientists. Talk about some of the types of people that work there.
Right, we are out of place in our National Weather Service, but we are geologists, geophysicists, oceanographers. We even have an astrophysicist on board, computer software architects, electronic technicians that are brilliant and innovative. Our software is all written in-house. Our instrumentation is designed in-house. So it's a really, really unique place, and it's just a couple handfuls of people that work there. So
sure.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ways to get a tsunami alert message is on Twitter.
Right.
And I can follow the Twitter address, and we'll put that up on the screen for you there. But it's usually a very quick message that tells you initially what the magnitude of an earthquake could be and about where its epicenter was. What are some of the other ways that you can get that alert message?
Well, Twitter's my favorite too.
Yeah.
And you don't even need a Twitter account to receive it. So
That's
it just comes in like an SMS message. But you can also receive it via email, weather radio, of course, the crawler on your television screen, on the internet, Google Alerts, marine radio if you're out in harbors and boats. Actually, marine radio is probably...
Yeah, it is a good one.
That's our partnership with the Coast Guard. We're really grateful for that, absolutely. But there's a variety of ways in dissemination.
Okay.
And locally, excuse me, I'm sorry, but locally in the communities, the sirens will go off as well.
Right. So lots of different ways to get that very important message very quickly when that matters to you. One of the ways that the Warning Center practices with communities is a test on a yearly basis, right?
Right.
How does that work?
Thanks for bringing that up. It's a controversial issue, but it's super important to help us warn better and really serve Alaskans. So the week of March 27th, the commemoration of the 1964 event, for that week we have a Tsunami Preparedness Week every year. We like communities to get out and do drills and practice and do everything we can to raise awareness. And part of that is a live code test where we actually issue the warning message live, and we activate the emergency alert system, which means sirens go off, the TV crawler happens, and it's a test.
We're doing everything that would normally happen without the real threat of the tsunami, just to practice as much as possible.
Right, and this is a major partnership with the State of Alaska, Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, the Emergency Operations Center, and the Alaska Broadcasters Association. Without the media, we wouldn't be able to do this. So the three groups really work tightly together to do our best to warn, educate the public that this is happening, so they don't wonder and get scared about it. It has been remarkable what we've learned. I mean, it pretty much breaks somewhere every time, but then we fix it, and it gets better. So a quick example is just a few years ago, we used to, when we issued a message, it would activate the entire state. Right? I mean, Kotzebue, Nome, Bethel, everybody would be in tsunami warning. And so now we can regionalize it to where the actual event is taking place. That's pretty huge.
Right. So identifying points of failure and also points of success, and making sure we continue down that successful path so that folks are warned as quickly and accurately as possible.
Absolutely. And you know, to get our communities involved, to prep themselves, prep their businesses, prep their tourism, prep their schools, you know, just make this an annual thing they need to be doing.
Right. So as citizens wanting to be prepared, we should be prepared to learn more about that test that's happening usually toward the end of March every year.
Right, and you should be happy that it's happening.
Right.
Instead of upset. Definitely be happy that it's happening.
Right. Just as we test tornado sirens in tornado country, we also have to test the tsunami program as well.
Right, because there isn't enough time. You know, for a local tsunami, the wave will arrive in less than 2 minutes. So it's super important that people know what to do.
Very good. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for helping us know more about the Tsunami Ready program and the test. And the Tsunami Warning Center is a very unique and very important job in the National Weather Service that is just fascinating to me every time I visit the office. So,
it's the only one for the continent. You really should come check it out.
It's an international effort.
Yes.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Dave.
And thanks for joining us for another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm Dave Snider. We'll see you next time.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Looking at today's sea ice analysis. Not much change from the last several days, yesterday or the last several days, and generally light wind conditions expected through Monday, and then late Monday or Tuesday, short-lived pickup in the easterly winds, and then they fall back off, and continued slow melt to the general ice condition up there through the period with a little change in any movement. So moving on to the coastal water forecast. Southeast coast, light winds tomorrow, west-southwest on the central coast at about 10 knots, 6 to 7 foot seas. South 10 knots with 8 foot seas for the south coast, and the north coast east at 10, seas 5 feet. Lynn Canal northerlies 15 knots and southeast 15 knots for Stevens Passage. Clarence Strait, though, holding on to a small craft advisory for southeast winds at 25 knots. Those will drop back to 20 knots on Sunday with 7 foot seas. South coast of the Panhandle, southeast 20 knots, seas 7 to 8 feet. Lynn Canal north at 15, southeast 15 Stevens Passage, and the north coast, east winds at 15 knots. Prince William Sound, north winds 15 knots tomorrow, seas 3 feet. Eastern North Gulf Coast, northeast winds at 15. West side there, north at 15. And then it increases pretty good, doubles there. 30 knot northerly winds for the Barren Islands, seas at 9 feet. Kamishak Bay, small craft advisories also. Northwest winds at 25 knots. And Northern Cook Inlet, small craft advisories. North winds 25 knots, seas 6 feet. And then for Sunday, all of Cook Inlet will see lighter winds, north at 15, 4 foot seas. Kamishak Bay, northwest 15, 4 foot seas. Northeast 15 for the Barren Islands and the North Gulf Coast. And Prince William Sound, look for easterly winds, 10 to 15 knots, with seas in the Sound staying low, 2 feet, and 5 to 6 feet. Not too bad for the North Gulf Coast. Kodiak Island, small craft advisories on the east side. Northwest winds 25 knots, 8 foot seas. Shelikof Strait, northwest at 20. And 25 knot northwest winds from for the Alaska Peninsula, Bristol Bay, and the area from Sitkinak to Castle Cave. And then for Sunday, West winds 15 knots for the Alaska Peninsula and 4-foot seas. Same forecast for Bristol Bay, winds out of the west at 15 knots. Small craft advisories, though, hold on for the area from Sitkinak to Castle Cape, with seas at 6 feet. Lighter winds for Kodiak Island, west-northwest, 10 to 15 knots, 3 to 6 foot seas. On Alaska Island tomorrow, north to northwest, 15 to 20 knots. Sumac Island, south to southeast, 20 to 25 knots, increasing throughout the afternoon, seas 4 feet. Then we got some gales, minimum gales there, picking up around the Adak-Atka area, southeast, 30 to 35 knots. Full gale there for Amchitka Island, and then winds diminishing back to 30 knots from the south for Kiska and Shemya. And for Sunday, Shemya to Kiska, west winds 20 knots, and Amchitka Island, southwest 25 knots, Adak-Atka, southwest 20 knots with 5 to 8 foot seas. And on Alaska Island, south to southeast winds at 20 knots with 4 to 5 foot seas. For the southwest coast, northwest winds with the strongest wind south of Nunivak Island, sustained 25 knots. Along the Yukon Delta, they'll be northwest at 20. St. Matthew Island, south 20. Light winds for the Pribilofs out of the southeast. And St. Lawrence Island will see west winds at 20 knots and northwest 15 for Norton Sound. Outlook for Sunday, light winds, variable, 5 knots for Norton Sound, southeast 15, St. Lawrence Island, and east 15, Yukon Delta Coast, Kuskokwim Delta Coast, north at 15. Small craft advisories for the Pribilofs and St. Matthew Island, southeast winds picking up to 25 to 30 knots, seas 7 to 12 feet. Eastern Beaufort Sea Coast, northwest winds 15 knots tomorrow, seas 3 feet. South 15 for the Central Coast, that'll increase to 20 knots there. Down the coast from Wainwright, say Point Lay on down toward Cape Beaufort, and then southwest 20 knots to Cape Thompson to Wales, southwest at 10. Southeast winds 10 knots, Wales to Cape Thompson, then east 15 for the western Arctic coast, north 15 for the central coast, and part of the east side there, and then over toward Kaktovik, they'll swing around to the west and fall back to 10 knots. For tonight, still a risk of some showers or light precipitation, but nothing significant. Extreme eastern Arctic coast, Brooks Range area. Otherwise, dry and breezy for southern Alaska. Dry and not breezy for the interior. Wet for the Panhandle, especially south. That front slowly moving, kind of hanging up. Look for moderate amounts of rain that'll diminish on Sunday, but it'll stay unsettled over the Panhandle. That's all I've got time for. Thanks for joining us.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.